Hey guys, welcome to Commander Lounge. In this video, we are going to be going over, in my eyes, what I see as red Commander staples. Now I know you guys might think differently on some of these things, but these are just my initial views on what I feel like are the strongest cards in red for Commander. Um, I'm pretty sure I got all the ones I wanted to put on there. The only bad thing about red is that red is usually considered probably the weakest color in Commander, and it is very true because usually red's all about being speedy and burning to the face, and Lightning Bolt isn't crazy good in Commander, unfortunately. But I mean, as soon as you double the life and make a multiplayer, burn strategy kind of disappears. But with that being said, there are still very good red cards in the format for Commander, like big splashy spells that do work. So yeah, let's get into some of the ones. And first we have Chaos Warp, which is 1 red and 2 colorless. The owner of target permanent shuffles it into his or her library, then reveals the top card of his or her library. If it's a permanent card, he or she puts it onto the battlefield. This card is great in red strategies, even though it got kind of nerfed because you can't talk generals anymore, which was Chaos Warp was ridiculous with that. Even though you can't do that anymore, it's still a great card because in red it answers enchantments, and there are not. I think this may be the only way to answer enchantments in red. If you guys know of something else that destroys enchantments, let me know because I'm pretty sure this is the only thing that does. So, I mean, it's pretty much makes it an auto include in any red deck that's not splashing another color to deal with enchantments. Next, we have Vandal Blast. I surprisingly don't see this card that much in other people's red decks, and it is ridiculously good in Commander because everybody plays artifacts. Because usually artifacts kind of fill in that gap of they're missing colors. They're missing color strength and stuff. They usually fill in with artifacts that help that. And artifacts are always in for ramp and stuff like that, and different colors. So Vandal Blast just makes sense. For 1 mana, you can destroy target artifact at sorcery speed, or you can overload for 5 and destroy everybody's artifact except yours. That is very strong, and that's why I feel this is definitely a staple in red. It's amazing. Then we have a new one, which is Chandra's Ignition. It's 2 red, 3 colorless. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to each other creature and each opponent. This is awesome because it smacks everybody in the face with your big fatty. And pretty much every deck you play in Commander should have at least a couple big fatties where this will hit and do work. And it also is it has a good synergy with Death Touch creatures, which it'll just, no matter what the power, it will kill everything as long as they're not indestructible. So I believe Chandra's Ignition is just a very good Wrath card. It's, you don't have many Wraths in red, and usually they're conditional. I mean, this is kind of conditional, but you could usually the decks you build will pretty much have a reason to have this card in it. I think it's a great kind of Wrath card in red if you don't know what to put in for Wrath cards. And next, I think one of the best ones is Balefire Dragon. It's a Wrath on a stick, which is nuts, but it only does it to 1 player. But it makes sense because usually there's that one most offensive player or something that's going off way too quick and everything, and you just got to get rid of all their stuff. So it's 7 mana, 2 red, 5 colorless for a 6/6 flying. Whenever Balefire Dragon deals combat damage to a player, it deals that much damage to each creature that player controls. That is nuts. And if you can pump him up with like swords or anything, or even just like growth effects, it just gets so much better. It's just a great card. And then I think we get into the best, probably my favorite Wrath in red, and that's Blasphemous Act. And no, you don't have to play tokens to make this good. In a 4-player game, there's going to be a lot of times you're going to be paying like 1 or 2 for this. It says 8 colorless in red, but it should just be 1 mana. Blasphemous Act costs 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield. Not your creatures, all the creatures on the battlefield. And does Blasphemous Act deals 13 damage to each creature. That's really good. I think it's the best Wrath in red, and it's in some ways it's one of the best, one of the top Wrath cards to get rid of the battlefield. I mean, 13 damage to each creature. I know in Commander you can get like 20 creatures and stuff easily and get them huge and obnoxious, but for the most part, this is going to answer everything you need to answer. and it can answer so cheap. Paying 1 mana, you feel like this card is just way too broken at that time. When you're paying 1 mana to Wrath everything, you're like, wow, I just did work. I just basically Terminused. And then next we have Hoarding Dragon. I really think this is a staple. I know some of you guys might disagree with this, but I know you have to sack it or have it die or something to get the full value out of it. But I think it's just so important with having artifacts kind of fill in your strategy gaps, where it would be important to tutor up for those artifacts. So Hoarding Dragon is 3 colorless, 2 red for a 4/4 flyer. That when Hoarding Dragon enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact card and exile it. Then shuffle your library. When Hoarding Dragon is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you may put that exile card into your hand. So it's just a way to get that artifact you need. I mean, are you a little low on mana? Soul Ring. If you're up against it, if the board's crazy, Oblivion Stone or Perilous Vault. Just anything like that. Any answers you need. Ramps, removal, all kinds of stuff. It does work. Then we get into the red draw staples, and Wheel of Fortune is a big one. I mean, red does not draw good, and it's another part of a reason why red is not the greatest color in Commander, is because it doesn't draw too fantastic. But what it can do is it can do wheel effects, like Wheel of Fortune, which is 1 red, 2 colors. All players must discard their hand and draw 7 new cards. You want to make sure you have a pretty aggressive strategy, or you have good synergy with this, because it could backfire on you, giving somebody else a full grip too. But I mean, it's what you gotta work with. So it's mono red. You want to draw? Use Wheel of Fortune. Reforge the Soul is another really good one. It's a budget Wheel of Fortune. It's 2 red, 3 colorless. Each player discards his or her hand and draws 7. So it does the same exact thing, except you can miracle it for 2. You can actually get it for cheaper than a Wheel of Fortune. 1 cheaper if you miracle it, and that's not bad. I think even 5 mana, I think it's fine to do this, but it's another draw staple in red in my eyes. Most of the times you're going to be filling your draw space, especially if you're playing like mono red with like artifact drawing stuff. But you'll probably put a couple of these in too, because it helps. And this is another new red staple in my eyes. I mean, this card was just so good it replaced Kiki-Jiki in my Prosh deck. It's just so nuts. So it's Feldon the Third Path. It's 2 red and 1 colorless for a 2/3 legendary creature, and you can pay a red and 2 colorless and tap it to put a token onto the battlefield. That's a copy of target creature card in your graveyard, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. It gains haste. Sacrifice at the beginning of end step. I think this card is just amazing. Oh my god. Like, it is like your green kind of regrowth effects. Like, it's reanimation. It is reanimation for a turn. And with how big creatures get and stuff, how crazy they get, like, you can just do some insanely broken things with Feldon. Like, using your graveyard as, like, you know, utility is probably one of the strongest things you can do in Commander. And being able to constantly reanimate with Feldon even for a single turn, giving them haste, like, it's just so good. Like, it's so much value. It's just, can't say no to it. Like, it definitely needs to go in a lot of red Commander decks, especially if they're creature heavy and they're dumping big creatures in the graveyard. Like, Feldon's your man. He's nuts. And then next we have Warstorm Surge. Now this could be in, you know, a lot of people are gonna be like, oh dude, but this is great in like Token's deck, but it's also good in like Fatty's decks. Like, just any deck where you're playing creatures, you should have Warstorm Surge. Like, most of the time you're topping out at your curve, you're going to have big creatures, and Warstorm Surge helps you get more value out of those creatures by being 1 red, 5 colorless for enchantment that whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. Like, yes, you can take out creatures with this. It's just so good. I think in pretty much every red deck I've built, you know, dealing with creatures where it's just coming in and smashing, I put Warstorm Surge in, at least at one point. It's just a great card. And then last but not least is, you know, probably one of my favorite cards in red, Zealous Conscript. Like, I can't say it's my favorite card because I still love Krenko. I still love Krenko so much. It's just so sad that the deck's too broken and I don't have fun playing with it and stuff. It's just, I think you know, Zealous definitely comes in second. I love Krenko. Zealous Conscript is just strategically good. You know, I think this should be in everybody's deck. Even if you can't sacrifice the permanent that you're taking from somebody, it's still relevant because it's a toolbox creature. It literally does anything you want it to do late game. Like, you can end a game because of Zealous Conscript. It's nuts. You pay 1 red and 4 colorless for a 3/3 haster. And then whenever Zealous Conscript enters the battlefield, gain control of target permanent until end of turn. Untap that permanent. It gains haste until end of turn. You can... I know you guys... This is probably going to be like... You've heard this before, but you guys can... Ultimate Planeswalkers, neg it to get rid of it. You guys can just take all kinds of stuff, you know. You guys can take anything. I know you can do infinite combos with, like, Kiki-Jiki. You can do infinite Zealous Conscripts and stuff, but I don't usually like doing that. I do it in my Krenko deck, my Krenko deck. But it's not really something I like doing. I just like taking people's things, especially, like, if they're really, you know, Commander, you're playing real powerful stuff. Like, if I can take an Ulamog or something and come at you and annihilate you back, like, that's fun. Like, that's awesome. So, yeah. So yeah, those are my, I believe that's the last one. Those are my, what I believe are my red Commander staples. These are pretty much cards that I automatically think of including whenever I build any deck basing around red. Unless I can fill in the spots with other colors. So yeah, let me know what you guys play when you guys play red in Commander. What your guys' staples are, because I'm interested to know, because, you know, red's not really a popular color in Commander, and but there are a lot of really powerful cards in red, and I know you guys have, you know, other ones that you guys can tell me. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of the video. Let me know what you guys think of, you know, red Commander, red in Commander as a whole, and like, favorite, and subscribe, and bobble bobble.